giving a tweet right after the fight. Any response to Terence Crawford, who had something to say?
Yeah, we ain't worried about what you guys say. He retired. You know, we focus on tasking and taking over the division. We ain't worried about no retired fighters.
Yeah, y'all keep on throwing Terence up. Terence, he retired. Leave Terence alone. Let him do what he's supposed to do. Y'all can have fun and enjoy his family.
Boot.
When you saw that he brought in Jaron, what was your reaction? Like your first initial reaction when you saw that news?
I actually didn't see it. Somebody showed me, and I was just like, "So what that mean? He's not me."
Yeah.
You know, as much as a lot of people, you know, say we have similarities, and you know, we switch a lot and we fight a lot. He's not me. You know, and I'm not him.
But you were on the show with Gilly, and he mentioned a bunch of names and just said, you know, are they going to be easy work or not? You said easy work to everybody, including Terence Crawford. You know, obviously he's had comments to Gilly about saying, you know, that he tried to make a fight with you. You were too young at the time. That's what your team said. Do you think any of this talk gets to a point where you get him to come out of retirement and face you?
I don't even care about that. I ain't gonna lie. I'm locked in on Ennis eyes. I don't ask you nothing else about nobody else. I'm Ennis eyes. That's it.
Respect to Boots. Take over that 154 division. Congratulations once again. And man, you deserve everything.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for taking this fight on. You had to do it. I'm gonna say it again. Do your thing.
Hey, and he's not flat-footed. It was just a promotional thing.
And, you know, obviously we're here in Philadelphia, Boots Ennis, Eddie, a couple other people, you know, called Boots the natural successor to Terence Crawford, and obviously I know your relationship with him. Do you feel that high on Boots as well, or?
Hell yeah, I think Boots a hell of a fighter. I don't know about the natural sensation, whatever that is to Terence Crawford. I think Boots is his own fighter, Terence is his own fighter, but I think they both hell of a fighters. I've been around Boots for years, and he's the truth.
Ever since the final bell rang, one sensational storyline has swallowed every timeline and feed. If you trust the headlines, Jaron Ennis brutalized Xander Zeus across 7 grueling rounds, and then, without missing a beat, called out Terence Crawford. There's just one problem with that story. It isn't what unfolded. What actually happened inside Barclays Center painted a very different picture, and so did the statements delivered once the fighting stopped. Every second was captured on camera, yet the words that mattered most got buried beneath a louder narrative. Underneath it all sits a web of promotional friction, a feud that kept boiling throughout fight week, and a calculated push designed to lure a retired legend back under the bright lights.
You know, being coy, like not commenting on it, but seeming to throw his version of some shade. I mean, what's your thoughts on?
I don't care what nobody say, man.
Yeah.
I don't care. That don't bother me. Just like when y'all talk, I don't care what y'all say.
Yeah. Not even me, man.
I don't care what none of y'all say because I speak the truth. You know what I mean? You know, you don't see us cussing and calling people out. Some of they don't know this, they don't know that. We don't do that. You know what I mean? We just come to fight.
To grasp why this bout reshaped so many debates, you have to zoom in on the single round that flipped the entire script. Coming into the night, the popular question was whether 23-year-old Xander Zeus could genuinely push Ennis once the heat was turned up. The answer arrived in round 3. Zeus connected with a thunderous right hand that instantly shifted the energy throughout the building. For a stretch of anxious seconds, Ennis appeared rattled, drifted back toward the ropes, and had to keep his wits about him as he recovered, while the whole arena wondered whether the undefeated star had finally run into a man capable of unraveling him. Yet rather than crumbling, Ennis steadied himself, fought through the storm, seized command, and ultimately dropped Zeus 3 times before closing the show. That wild sequence split the sport straight down the middle. Did Zeus expose a crack that future rivals can pry open? Or did Ennis prove he owns the grit required to conquer real trouble?
Get my mind in the 3rd round.
Huh?
What was going through your mind in the 3rd round?
I was chilling, cool, calm, collected.
Nothing? Gotcha. Do you still want to be undisputed? Is the goal?
Most definitely, undisputed for sure.
Oh, wait.
Hold on, Mike. Wait to the mic, yeah.
Hey, Boots, Radio Raheem down in the front. Did I hear you correctly? Because sometimes I can't hear it in the arena. Did you say that you weren't hurt in the third round?
No, I was chilling. You know, I just a little lazy on the inside. Got quoted a good shot, but I was cool.
Did you feel like that third round was the toughest round of your fight career thus far?
I don't know. I don't know. Like I'm cool, calm, and collected. You know, when it's madness going on, I just get calm. You know, and just be patient.
I mean, I ask you these questions because, granted, you know, you stopped him in the 7th. It was a tremendous performance, but from the audience side, it looked like a tough fight. It didn't look easy. It didn't look, you know, like a walkover.
Yeah.
Where do you rate this fight competition-wise?
Oh, solid competition. Xander, a great fighter. Hope he's okay. Yeah, you know, if you better move up to 60 or stay at 54.
The instant the referee waved the fight off, the crowd braced for the ritual they'd seen 100 times. Viewers expected Ennis to seize the microphone, lock eyes with the lens, and summon Terence Crawford by name. That anticipated moment simply never came. When his turn to speak finally arrived, Ennis brushed past the retired icon, as though he didn't exist. What he offered instead was blunt. Virgil Ortiz was the name at the top of his list, because his mission is to collect every belt still on the table and crown himself the undisputed ruler of the weight class.
Why he ain't take the fight in the beginning? You know what I'm saying? Bro, I ain't be talking, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I'm trying to tell you, I'm really different. He gonna see firsthand. Cause he gets hurt a lot. He's flat-footed and he been dropped multiple times. When he get hit by me, it's gonna be different. I'm trying to tell y'all.
What would you grade your performance?
My performance today, I gotta go back and watch it. I'll probably give myself probably like a C though. I know I'm way better than that, you know. And like a C plus, you know. I'm way better than that, you know. I was into the corner a little bit, not too much, you know. They were telling me to do speed, and I was one shot popping. It's the shots that you don't see. I should have been using a little bit more speed, but you know, everything is gonna be good. You know, we're gonna go back to the the lab and get ready. You know, and
that surprising declaration threw a wrench into the storyline. Plenty of people had already scripted long before the opening bell. So why did outlets across the boxing world rush to claim Ennis had challenged Crawford regardless? Because his genuine words clashed with the tale that had already taken shape. Instead of spotlighting what truly left his mouth, many chose to keep feeding the version they were convinced would spark the loudest reaction.
Still don't think he's getting the respect from a lot of hardcore boxing fans. They're like, yeah, he looks good, he switches stances. We saw what he did in his last fight, but it was against a no-hoper. This is feels like the moment for Boots. Not only do I think he has to win this fight, I think he needs to dominate and separate himself from Xander Zayas and say, look, this guy's not even on my level. I'm at the Terence Crawford level. That's the level of fighter I am. He has a chance to prove that. He's got to be dominant.
To understand how that narrative caught fire so fast, the spotlight shifts to Matchroom Boxing's promoter Eddie Hearn. Well before the opening bell of fight night, Hearn had made no secret of the outcome he was rooting for. In his perfect world, Ennis would steamroll the unbeaten Zeus, walk away with the unified titles, and ride that momentum to manufacture overwhelming appetite for a mega event against Crawford. Hearn knew coaxing a retired champion out of hibernation would be a tall order, but he was betting that a jaw-dropping showing could build enough public demand to force the issue. Even after Ennis aimed his entire interview at Virgil Ortiz, the Crawford thread refused to die. Promoters and reporters kept hammering on the possible super fight. Fully aware it stood as one of the richest paydays the sport could offer.
Ennis is, and he's not going to fight anymore unless it's for a lot of money. So we have to do what we say. We have to prove the quality of Ennis, and he has to earn his shot against Crawford. But that is the fight that I look at in 9 to 12 months' time, 3 fights down the line. And I think US fight fans are going to be crying out for that fight. Like, you imagine if we beat Lima on Saturday, we beat Ortiz, you know, we beat Fundora or Mertzalayev or Zayas. Everyone will be calling for Ennis v Crawford.
I think a lot of fans are crying for that now.
They have been for years.
Yeah.
But the reality is we still need to, you know, it's not, I think everyone who, like I say, everybody that knows boxing.
Yeah, boxing fans.
One that knows how good Ennis is go, I mean, what a fight. That is unbelievable. But still, you've got to educate people that Ennis is as good as I say he is.
But the relentless buzz surrounding this clash didn't materialize out of thin air. It was stoked by pointed personal remarks traded long before either man stepped through the ropes. Shortly ahead of the weigh-ins, Crawford sat for an interview in which he did far more than forecast a win over Ennis. He insisted that had the two actually met, he would have wiped out Ennis's career entirely. Word of those comments filtered back to Ennis while he was buried in the grind of training camp. A week long, he was peppered with questions about Crawford's jabs, and his irritation grew harder to mask by the day. Ennis fired back that boxing had turned a fresh page, framing Crawford as a relic of yesterday while casting himself as the sport's tomorrow. That simmering bad blood explains why so many supporters instantly tied the win to Crawford the second Ennis's hands shot into the air.
Terence Crawford throughout the build-up to this fight, but he did tweet something that definitely seemed like in relation to this fight without saying much, but, you know, given a tweet right after the fight. Any response to Terence Crawford, who had something to say?
Yeah, we ain't worried about it. We retired. You know, we focus on task and taking over this division. We ain't worried about no retired fighters.
Yeah, y'all keep on throwing Terence up. Terence, he retired. Leave Terence alone. Let him do what he's supposed to do. You know what I mean? Have fun and enjoy his family.
Boot. Statement. He made the statement.
Who that?
Blood made the statement. Sorry.
All of them. I don't care who makes the statement. You know what I mean? I'm just telling you like it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Boots Bosey, man, congrats. Hell of a fight, hell of a performance, man. The question, were you more shocked that he made it out of that first round assault, or that he got up from that perfectly placed, the second knockdown? Were you more shocked that he got up from that, or made it out of the first round?
I don't know.
The world wants to know.
I mean, the first knockdown, I wasn't trying to like really rush it. You know, I knew he a game fighter. You know, he got good fundamentals. You know, he's a solid fighter, and he was a champion for a reason. So you can't just go in there and rush it and try to get the knockout. You know, you gotta be patient, and that's what I did. So, but the second,
as the crowd kept picking apart every exchange, undefeated title holder Shakur Stevenson stepped forward with a sharply contrasting take, rather than fixating on the rocky third round. Stevenson applauded the complete performance NSPs together from bell to bell, answering the critics who complained that NS had absorbed too many shots. Shakur pointed to the sheer cleverness of his footwork, his defense, and his command of the ring. He went so far as to suggest NS flashed the kind of technical mastery that called to mind Floyd Mayweather at the peak of his powers. In one of the game's most brilliant ring tacticians, likens your work to that standard. It naturally casts doubt on Crawford's boast that he would have finished NS with ease.
Favorite fighters to watch in the sport, that I was always banging the drum for them to get the shots against Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. It never happened. Terence threw some shade after the fight, which is, you know, between them. I don't think the fight will ever happen, but I think that fight could have been special once upon a time, even if Crawford was the favorite, deservedly. Ennis's speed and power, being ambidextrous like Crawford, he was a threat to Crawford and always will be if Crawford's ever thinking of getting back in the ring, especially at this age. But there came a time where Ennis's career was stalling out a little bit. You know, he unifies, he becomes the welterweight champion against Stanionis, but welterweight became thin, and the lightweights moved up once he left, really. And welterweight just wasn't as talent-rich as it was. He wasn't getting the big fights for a few different reasons. But now he's not only back in business, his stock is higher than ever. He had a great ring walk with Jadakiss, and the crowd in Brooklyn really loved him and took to him. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans here tonight, but it was really about 50-50, maybe 60-40, you could argue, for Zayas, but he drew a lot of fans in Brooklyn tonight too, who all loved his performance. So he's never been bigger as a draw. He still showed just enough vulnerability to get the other top guys to want to jump in the ring with him. And sure, he'll have to tighten some things up against those guys, but
the fallout has fractured the boxing community like few events in recent history. On platforms such as X and Reddit, fans wage endless war over what the outing actually demonstrated. What's fascinating is that both camps lean on the very same clips to reach completely opposite verdicts. One faction endlessly reposts footage from the third round, replaying the moment Zeus staggered Ennis and arguing that if a contender this green could land such a blow, a prime Crawford surely would have sealed the deal. The opposing faction trains its focus almost entirely on the crushing 7th round stoppage, citing Ennis weathering the danger, reclaiming control, and slamming the door shut in commanding fashion as proof that he's now the true heir to the pound-for-pound throne. and the one man equipped to face anybody.
You just said that you gotta need to do more to earn a fight with him. Do you think tonight was enough?
Yo, what? I don't know what you talking about, guy.
He said that.
Listen, listen. No, that was before tonight, right? Yeah. Listen, we don't need to prove nothing. We don't need to chase a fight with Virgil. Yeah, okay. But what I'm saying, listen, we're not getting into that. What I'm saying is, listen, and I said this before Boots come in. We are not going to sit there with full of arrogance like some people would right now and say, tough luck Virgil Ortiz. He's the unified world champion. He's a superstar of the sport. Get in line and take your 15% for a voluntary defense. That's what some people would say if they were arrogant. What we say is, we love the big fights, but we took that Virgil Ortiz fight. He signed for that fight, right? We took that fight for no belt. We took it for the fans to prove he was the best. Unfortunately for Virgil Ortiz, the team, everybody, Everett, Sean, we did an unbelievable job to land the unified world championship. And now he's the unified world champion. So, sorry Virgil, in a way, we want to be undisputed. But we don't rule out that fight. It's a big fight. But he's about legacy.
Ennis walked into a cauldron of pressure, survived the most grueling chapter of his professional life, and still marched out of the building with unified championship gold in front of the entire sport. And yet the belts strapped around his waist may not be his greatest achievement. His real triumph might be the conversation he ignited. With no contract anywhere in sight, boxing is already consumed by talk of a possible collision with Crawford. Did Ennis deliver the kind of unforgettable night capable of coaxing a retired legend back for one last dare? Or did that perilous third round hand Crawford every excuse to walk away and leave things exactly as they are? Whichever way the story bends from here, the answer could steer the direction of boxing for years to come.